The morning sunlight streamed through the wide kitchen windows, casting a warm glow over the marble countertops and gleaming appliances. The Riker estate exuded a kind of manufactured tranquility at this hour, a hush that settled over the manicured lawns, the sprawling orchards beyond, and the imposing Greystone Manor perched atop the rolling hill. Inside, the scent of fresh coffee lingered in the air, mingling with the faint sweetness of pureed fruits and warm oats. It was the kind of morning the Riker family had come to expect without question. At the large kitchen island, Adam Riker sat, hunched over his tablet, scrolling through market reports and financial forecasts. The sharp, angular lines of his face were fixed in a frown as numbers flickered across the screen. Beside him, his wife, Lila, carefully organized a stack of papers for her charity's upcoming gala. Her dark hair fell in gentle waves across her shoulder, her brow furrowed in concentration. In the high chair nearby, their infant daughter, Emily, gurgled softly, her small fists waving in the air as her nanny, Sophia Perez, prepared her breakfast. Sophia hummed under her breath, an old lullaby from her childhood, as she unscrewed a jar of pureed peaches. And then there was Max the German Shepherd sat rigidly by the kitchen doorway, his sharp amber eyes locked on Sophia. Usually, Max was the calmest presence in the house, a retired service dog with a flawless record, now a loyal guardian to the Riker family. But this morning, something was different. His ears twitched at every sound, his nose working overtime as he tracked an invisible trail. Adam noticed first. "Max?" he called, his voice breaking the quiet. The dog didn't respond, didn't glance his way. His gaze remained locked on Sophia and the jar in her hand. "What's wrong with him?" Lila asked softly, glancing up from her notes. "I don't know. Maybe he heard something outside," Adam replied, though he sounded uncertain. Sophia, focused on Emily, didn't notice the growing tension. She dipped a small spoon into the jar, stirring the peaches, and lifted it toward the baby's mouth. In an instant, the calm shattered. Max lunged at a blur of black and tan fur. The dog's powerful frame launched across the kitchen, teeth bared, a sharp growl breaking the stillness. Before anyone could react, Max clamped his jaws around Sophia's wrist just as she raised the spoon. Sophia screamed, sharp and sudden, the sound ricocheting through the house. Emily's delighted babble turned to a terrified wail. Blood splattered onto the marble as Sophia staggered back, the spoon clattering to the floor. "Max!" "No!" Adam shouted, bolting from his seat. That he grabbed the dog's collar, hauling him away, but Max growled deep in his throat, his eyes not on Sophia, but fixed on the spilled jar of baby food now overturned on the counter. Lila, pale and trembling, rushed to Emily's side, pulling the baby from the high chair and cradling her tightly, whispering soothing nonsense words. "What the hell is wrong with him?" Adam roared, wrestling Max away. Max resisted for a heartbeat longer, teeth bared, before allowing himself to be dragged back. Though his growl never fully subsided, Delilah's gaze dropped to the spilled puree. Something about it caught her attention. It shimmered strangely in the morning light. "Adam," she whispered, her voice thin, tight. "Look." Adam followed her gaze. The puree on the marble seemed too glossy, too viscous, as if oil swirled on its surface. He crouched, sniffing cautiously, his brow furrowing. A sharp, metallic bitterness clung to the scent. "I'm calling Dr. Moore," he muttered, pulling his phone from his pocket. Within minutes, Dr. Paul Moore, the family physician, arrived, his medical bag in hand. He took in the scene, the bloodied bandage on Sophia's wrist, Max pacing in the next room, the baby food jar tipped on its side. Without a word, he produced a field test kit and swabbed a sample from the marble. He mixed a drop of reagent, watching it carefully. The solution turned a sickly green. Dr. Moore straightened, his expression grim. "It's poison." The word dropped like a stone into a still pond, ripples of shock radiating through the room. Lila's breath hitched as she clutched Emily tighter. "Someone tried to poison your baby." Within the hour, police officers arrived, securing the estate. Yellow tape stretched across the kitchen entrance, and officers moved through the rooms with quiet efficiency. Detective Serena Hall arrived soon after. Tall, composed, dressed in a dark suit, she carried an air of quiet authority. She had a reputation for solving cases others left cold, for seeing what others overlooked. She surveyed the room carefully, taking in the Riker couple, Sophia's tear-streaked face, the blood-stained bandage, the nervous housekeeper Marlene, the silent groundskeeper Jack, and Max, confined to the library, his amber eyes still sharp, still alert. Detective Hall introduced herself with a nod and immediately took control. "I need to know who had access to the baby's food," she began, her voice low but steady. Sophia spoke up, her voice shaking. I always prepare it. Every morning. I swear, I'd never, and no one else. No. Sometimes Mrs. Riker if I'm out, but no one else ever touches it." Serena Hall made a note in her small leather notebook. Adam spoke then, his voice tight. "We have cameras in the kitchen and around the estate. It's a secured system." "Good," Serena replied. "I'll need the footage." But there was something in the room's air she didn't like. A strain in the way the housekeeper wrung her hands, the way the groundskeeper wouldn't meet her gaze. She'd seen it before. Fear or guilt. While officers collected evidence, Hall made her way to the library where Max waited, pacing the length of the room. She knelt near the doorway. "You knew, didn't you, boy?" she murmured to Max's ears twitched. He paused his pacing, regarding her, tail giving a tentative wag. "You saw something." Back in the kitchen, officers played the surveillance footage. Serena stood with them as images flickered across the screen. Sophia preparing formula, Marlene wiping counters, Jack delivering fruit baskets to the pantry, then a sudden gap. The timestamp jumped from 4:02 a.m. to 4:19 a.m. "Stop," Hall ordered. She pointed at the screen. 17 minutes missing. Who has access to the system? "Just Adam, Charles Whitmore, Adam's partner, and the estate security officer, but he's on leave," Lila answered quietly. Adam's expression darkened. "I haven't touched the system in weeks." Serena didn't need to press further. His anger was genuine. She could sense it. But someone had. Someone had erased those 17 minutes. And someone had come into that kitchen in the dead of night, with poison in hand, intending to kill a baby in her high chair. The house that had once felt like a safe haven now felt like a stage set for betrayal. Serena Hall knew this was only the beginning. Night settled over the Riker estate like a velvet curtain, the orchards casting long, skeletal shadows across the lawns. Inside, the house was a fractured reflection of its usual calm. Every creak of the old wood, every distant sound of wind against the windows set nerves on edge. Adam had ordered the entire staff confined to the manor, no one in or out until the investigation was done. The local police had left, but Serena Hall remained, knowing too well that danger often lingers in the silence that follows chaos. In the nursery, Lila rocked Emily, the baby finally asleep, her small chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm. Lila's hand trembled as she smoothed a curl of fine blonde hair from her daughter's forehead. She could still feel the sharp coldness that had gripped her when Dr. Moore spoke the word poison. The image of Max's teeth sinking into Sophia's wrist replayed in her mind like a film she couldn't turn off. Downstairs, Serena stood before a bank of monitors in the estate's security room. A technician, summoned from the security company, worked to recover the missing 17 minutes of footage. "I don't understand how it was deleted," the technician muttered, frustration clear in his voice. "No one logged in remotely. It was done from the terminal here." Serena's gaze sharpened. "And this room is kept locked?" "Yes, ma'am. Adam Riker has the only key, except when the security officer's on duty." "Right, but he's been on leave for 2 weeks." Serena's mind worked quickly, pieces of a puzzle she hadn't yet seen the full shape of starting to fall into place. Either someone had gotten hold of that key, or someone inside had never needed one. In the parlor, Sophia sat curled on a couch, a blanket around her shoulders. Her wrist was bandaged, her dark eyes rimmed red. Marlene, the housekeeper, hovered nearby with a mug of tea, though neither of them spoke much. Jack, the groundskeeper, sat near the door, hat in his hands, his weathered face unreadable. Serena entered the room, closing the door softly behind her. "I need to speak to each of you again," she said quietly. She started with Sophia. "I swear, I didn't do anything to that food," Sophia whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I would never hurt Emily. I've cared for her since she was a newborn." Serena studied her face. The terror seemed genuine. The trembling wasn't the kind born from guilt. "Still," People were capable of terrible things in desperate moments. Have you noticed anything unusual in the last week? Anything at all? Visitors. Strange deliveries. Doors left unlocked. Sophia hesitated. There was 2 nights ago, I thought I heard someone downstairs. A door closing. But when I checked, no one was there. You tell anyone? No. I didn't want to cause trouble. Serena nodded. She turned to Marlene. Mrs. Green, same question. The housekeeper twisted her hands in her apron. Nothing strange. Except, yesterday, the pantry door was ajar. I always lock it after morning inventory. Always. But around noon, it was open. You tell anyone? I mentioned it to Jack. Serena's eyes flicked to the groundskeeper. I figured it was one of the maids, Jack grumbled. Didn't think much of it. Serena folded her arms. Did either of you see or hear anything between 4 and 5 this morning? Marlene and Jack exchanged looks. Both shook their heads. Serena's instincts prickled. Someone was lying. Or hiding something. Upstairs, Max lay curled near the nursery door, his ears twitching at every sound, his body a wall of muscle and silent vigilance. He hadn't left Emily's door since the incident. Not for food, not for water. As if some unspoken duty tied him to her side. Lila stepped over him softly, looking down at the old dog. Good boy, Max, she whispered, her voice cracking his. Tail thumped once against the floored eye in the security room. The technician's voice called out. Detective, I've got something. Serena was there in moments. It's not full video, but a single recovered frame before the deletion. The screen showed a grainy, black and white still. A figure in the kitchen at 4:13 a.m. The angle obscured the face, but it was unmistakably a person, a tall shape, wearing a dark hoodie, their hand reaching for the baby food shelf. Serena leaned in. Can you enhance that? Working on it. But something else caught her eye. On the figure's wrist, a glint. A bracelet. Not just any bracelet. Thin, silver, with a tiny heart charm. Serena turned, her stomach dropping. Sophia wore a bracelet like that. Within seconds, Serena was back in the parlor. Sophia, she said evenly, take off your bracelet. The nanny's face went bloodless. She looked down, saw the silver chain gleaming against her wrist, and her hand jerked as if to hide it. Marlene gasped. I didn't. Sophia stammered, eyes filling with tears. Serena raised a hand. Don't say anything yet. Come with me. In the security room, Serena pointed at the screen. That your bracelet? Sophia stared at the still image, her breath coming in short, broken gasps. It looks like mine. But I didn't. Do this, detective. Please. I swear to God. Serena studied her, measured the way her pupils shrank, the fear radiating from her like heat. If it was an act, it was flawless. But then again, desperate people lied well. Then explain how this got here. Sophia's mouth opened, but no sound came. The technician spoke. Detective, wait. Look at this. He switched screens. Another frame, seconds later. The figure's hand reaching into the cabinet. But now the bracelet was gone. Serena's brow furrowed. Play back the last footage before 4 a.m. They did at 3:57 a.m. Sophia left the kitchen and headed upstairs. The bracelet visible on her wrist. Serena stared. The figure in the kitchen at 4:13 a.m. wasn't Sophia. It wasn't even a woman. She straightened. Check staff records. See who else wears something like that. Or who could have borrowed it. The technician began pulling staff ID photos. Serena's mind raced. Someone had framed Sophia, and they'd nearly gotten away with it. In the nursery, Max suddenly raised his head, a low growl rumbling from his throat. His ears perked. He bolted to the stairwell. A new danger was moving through the house, and the night wasn't over. The house was too quiet. A heavy, oppressive kind of silence. Serena Hall felt it pressing in as she moved swiftly through the halls, her hand instinctively resting near the grip of the small sidearm beneath her jacket. Max's low growl echoed. From the stairwell, the kind of primal warning animals gave before storms, before death. From the nursery door, Lila called out, alarm in her voice. Max, what is it? The dog didn't look back. His ears flattened, teeth bared. He bolted down the hallway. Serena's instinct screamed. She followed. Downstairs, the technician worked furiously, sifting through staff files, ID photos, and old surveillance images. The still from 4:13 a.m. remained on the screen. The shadowy figure, face obscured, hand reaching for the baby food, bracelet glinting in the half-light. But it wasn't Sophia, and the footage proved it as Serena reached the bottom of the stairs. She caught sight of Max. The dog stood at the library doors, his body tense, growl deepening to a snarl. The doors were ajar. Inside, a faint shuffle of movement. Serena drew her weapon. "Stay where you are," she called, voice steadied, in no reply. She pushed the door open with her shoulder. The library smelled of old leather and wood polish. Floor to ceiling. Shelves lined the walls, a fire still smoldering in the hearth. Near the desk, a figure froze mid-step. Charles Whitmore, Adam Riker's business partner, his face, usually calm and composed, twisted in a mask of surprise and anger. "What the hell are you doing in here?" Serena demanded. Charles's gaze flicked to the desk drawer he'd been reaching for, then back to her gun. I came to get my phone. Left it earlier." Max snarled, stepping forward. Serena didn't lower her weapon. "This room's off limits. Everyone was accounted for downstairs. You weren't." Charles hesitated. His hand twitched. "I'm not some criminal detective." "Then you won't mind if I take a look in that drawer." The tension snapped like a taut wire. Charles lunged for the drawer. Max was faster. The dog hit him mid-stride, teeth sinking into Charles's forearm, dragging him down with a growl that sounded more animal than anything Serena had ever heard. Charles shouted, twisting beneath the weight of the German Shepherd. "Call him off. Get him off me." Serena was already moving, kicking the drawer shut and yanking Charles's arms behind his back. "Stay down." Max released his grip, standing over the man, chest heaving. Serena pulled open the drawer. Inside, a small vial. Clear liquid. Unlabeled. But beside it, a bracelet. Silver, with a tiny heart charm. Her stomach turned. "You son of a bitch." Charles spat blood, his face contorted with rage. "You don't understand," he hissed. "This was never meant for the baby. It was for Adam." The jar was supposed to be swapped. The wrong jar. Serena felt a cold chill crawl down her spine. "All this to get rid of your business partner?" Charles laughed, bitter and breathless. "You think Adam built this empire alone? I cleaned his messes, covered his debts. He was going to cut me out, leave me nothing." Serena shook her head. "So you framed Sophia? Poison a child. She was expendable," Charles growled. "Collateral." Footsteps pounded into the room. Adam Riker burst in, eyes wide. He took in the scene. Charles on the floor, the vial in Serena's hand, Max standing over him like a predator. "My God." Serena glanced at him. It was him, Adam. All of it. Adam's face twisted, a mixture of shock and fury. "You tried to kill my daughter." Charles said nothing, blood staining his teeth. "I swear to God, I'll." Serena raised a hand, stopping him. "It's over." Within minutes, officers arrived to take Charles away. The bracelet was bagged as evidence. The vial sent to the lab. Adam held Lila tight in the hallway, neither speaking, both shaken to the bone. In the nursery, Emily slept peacefully, blissfully unaware of the danger that had passed. Max lay at the doorway, eyes half closed, still on duty. Serena knelt beside him, scratching his ear. "Good boy," she murmured. "Real good boy." Outside, the dawn light broke over the orchard, touching the Riker estate with a new kind of stillness. But Serena knew better than to believe in perfect endings. She glanced back at the house one last time. Some houses, no matter how grand, carried shadows that never truly left. And sometimes, the only thing standing between innocence and evil was an old, loyal dog. Morning came quietly, as if the house itself was exhaling after a long, suffocating night. The sun spilled over the estate grounds, painting the lawns gold, catching the dew on the orchard leaves. Birds sang, the same way they always did, unaware that evil had been dragged from the shadows just hours before. Inside, the Riker household was forever changed. Sophia sat on the veranda, a mug of untouched tea cradled in her hands. Her wrist still bandaged, though the deeper wound was the betrayal. She'd nearly lost everything. Her job, the little girl she loved like her own, her reputation. All because a man like Charles Whitmore thought she was expendable. Adam and Lila approached, moving carefully as if unsure what words would fit a moment like this. "I don't know what to say," Lila whispered, her voice tight with guilt and sorrow. We doubted you. Sophia gave a faint, tired smile. You were scared for your child. I'd have done the same. Adam stepped forward, placing a hand on Sophia's shoulder. If you'll stay, we want you here. As long as you'll have us. The offer hung in the air. Sophia looked down at Emily in Lila's arms, the baby reaching out with innocent hands, smiling as if none of the darkness had touched her. In that face, Sophia found her answer. I'm not going anywhere. Meanwhile, Detective Serena Hall stood in the security room once more. The monitors replayed footage of the last 48 hours. Everything that had been missed. Every door left ajar. Every camera blind spot that a file sat on the desk beside her. Charles Whitmore's confession. A meticulous account of greed and desperation. The poison had been intended for Adam's breakfast juice, but a mix-up in the kitchen placed it in the baby's food pantry. The bracelet had been stolen days earlier from Sophia's room to frame her if things went sideways. Serena knew men like Whitmore. Clean suits, expensive watches, rotten souls. She shut the file. Some cases left marks you couldn't see. Max trotted into the room, settling by her feet, his head resting on his paws. The faithful guardian. Still watching. You earned a steak. The size of your head. Boy, Serena murmured. The dog's tail thumped once. She crouched beside him, rubbing behind his ear. You kept her safe? When nobody else saw it coming. Serena rose, glancing once more at the estate grounds through the window. Sunlight and peace, for now. But houses like this, houses with money, with power, they bred secrets like overgrown vines. Sooner or later, something else would crawl out of the dark. But for today, the good guys had won. And the little girl in the nursery would wake to a world a little safer because an old dog still knew what evil smelled like. Serena stepped outside, the fresh air cutting through the weight of the night. She turned back once, watching as Max took his place by Emily's playpen, his gaze never leaving her. Some guardians didn't need orders, some didn't need thanks. They just needed to be close. And they'd die before letting harm come to the ones they loved.